The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Herod was the one who had John the Baptist arrested and bound in prison on account of Herodias, the wife of his brother Philip, whom he had married. John had said to Herod, "It is not lawful for you to have your brother's wife." Herodias harbored a grudge against him and wanted to kill him, but was unable to do so. Herod feared John, knowing him to be a righteous and holy man, and kept him in custody. When he heard him speak, he was much perplexed, yet he liked to listen to him. She had an opportunity one day when Herod, on his birthday, gave a banquet for his courtiers, his military officers, and the leading men of Galilee. Herodias' own daughter came in and performed a dance that delighted Herod and his guests. The king said to the girl, "Ask me whatever you may wish, and I will grant it to you." He even swore many things to her. "I will grant you whatever you ask of me, even to half of my kingdom." She went out and said to her mother, "What shall I ask for?" She replied, "The head of John the Baptist." The girl hurried back to the king's presence and made her request. "I want you to give me at once, on a platter, the head of John the Baptist." The king was deeply distressed. But because of his oaths and the guests, he did not wish to break his word to her. So he promptly dispatched an executioner with orders to bring back his head. He went off and beheaded him in prison. He brought in the head on a platter and gave it to the girl. The girl in turn gave it to her mother. When John's disciples heard about it, they came and took his body and laid it in a tomb. Brothers and sisters, the gospel of the Lord. A fairly gruesome story, to say the very least. But there are a lot of things that are going on. Let me break this down here a little bit. Herod was the son of who we called King Herod the Great, who was really the Romans' puppet king, but he was also quite a politician. King Herod the Great was the king at the time when Jesus was born, and was so jealous when he heard the Magi who came through Jerusalem saying that they were there to look for Christ, or looking for the newborn king. He was so jealous of that. Even though his kingdom was not real, it was still the best, or at least what Israel was allowed to have as king. But he was so jealous, of course, he tried to have Jesus killed. Horrible. And then when he died, his sons kind of split up the kingdom as it were, but it was really part of the Roman Empire. So they were only figureheads, and technically not called kings, but tetrarchs. Regardless, they also had no ethics like their father. And here even Herod Antipas was his actual name, was married to the wife of his brother. So already going against fundamental principles. And John the Baptist confronted it. If you're going to say at least that you're the king of the people of Judah, then you should live consistently with the God of Israel, with the Ten Commandments, So he, like prophets, they call those in authority to integrity. But unfortunately, Herod the Tetrarch had no integrity. The amazing thing about this is where he had John imprisoned, and he was afraid of John because he was afraid of the truth. He didn't want to face the truth, but also he was afraid of the beauty of the truth. He in his own life, I think in my life, when I've been confronted with the truth, when it's something I don't want to hear at the time, I get defensive. Because I don't want to admit I'm wrong. That's a human trait, but it's an instinct that we know that we need to be conscious of, and always seek what is the truth, because the truth will set you free. So he was attracted to his word, but also repelled by it, fearful of it. That's an interesting thing. It's important to remember that he was perplexed because he liked to listen to him, because he knew that the truth was beautiful. But his wife Herodias, because she didn't like being shamed in public, she hated John, had a grudge against him, and wanted to kill him, and didn't have the authority to do so until this event happened, and she saw her moment. Herodias, Herodias' daughter, who's not named here, but Salome is a name that's been given by tradition, came in to dance at this party that King Herod was throwing, and all the who's who of Galilee region were there. So he was trying to impress people. I mean, it was that kind of a show-off event. And when his stepdaughter did this dance, and we don't know much about Salome. In fact, there's a lot of conjecture that's probably not accurate. There's nothing some said it was a seductive kind of a dance. Well, there's nothing to say that. The way this girl is described, it could have been just a remarkable dance that was well done. And everybody was clapping, and what a talented person. And so he made these ridiculous promises to her. And when it came back, what would you like? Anything you want? And she, not knowing even what she wanted, asked her mother, what should I ask for? And then her evil plan came about. The king's, his lack of integrity came to pass. There he knew it was wrong. He knew it was wrong to kill this great prophet. But he was he had said something out loud. He would have been shamed in front of his guests. He had no integrity. See, and this kind of takes us back to this first reading that Tom read for us today, that God chooses the weak of the world to shame the strong. Herod looked strong in the worldly sense of things. He was strong enough to imprison the great prophet John the Baptist, but he was weak of character. John looked weak because he was helpless in prison, but he was strong of character. He had the gift of integrity. He spoke the truth. There was a film I saw. It's not for the faint of heart. It's a difficult film to watch, but it's called Calvary. It's about these Irish priests, and also deals with the crises our church is facing today. But still, there's a scene where this really remarkable priest, his associate is being moved. It just didn't work out in the parish. And the reason is this associate pastor in that character is a wishy-washy person who just kind of responds to things based on people's opinions of him. And when he's leaving, he's saying to the wise, remarkable pastor, I'm just sorry it didn't work out here. And the priest looked at him and said, it's because you've got no integrity. I don't think there's anything worse I could say about a person. It's really a gripping scene. And I thought, wow, I don't want to be that associate pastor. I mean, it's a call to have integrity. And what integrity means for Christian is not being true to yourself. That's what our world says. Be true to yourself. And yeah, that's good to some degree. But it's being true to Christ. And if we're true to Christ, then we're true to our true selves. We are all made in God's image and likeness. And Christ was born in the human condition to help us to see how to live with integrity. And of course, his saints, his apostles, John the Baptist, all those who witnessed to him, to show us how to live with integrity, the way Christ lived with integrity, all the way to the cross, and conquered the cross, conquered death through his resurrection. So may that be our hope, that we may live with integrity, being true to Christ, which is the real way of becoming true to ourselves.